Hi everyone, and welcome to another session of Career Talk by Grad Australia. So my name's Emily and I'll be your host for today. So just before today's session, I'd like to begin with an acknowledgement of country. As we gather for this meeting, physically dispersed and virtually constructed, let us take a moment to reflect the meaning of place, and by doing so, recognize the various traditional lands on which we do our business today. We acknowledge the elders, past, present, and all of the land we work and live on and their ancestral spirits with gratitude and respect. We extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples here today. I'm joining the call from Brisbane, which is the traditional land of the Turrbal people. So just to introduce myself, my name is Emily. I am one of the webinar hosts here at Grad Australia, and this is one of our Career Talk sessions that we host on a weekly basis. So for those of you who are not familiar with Grad Australia, we basically are a graduate career site with all these graduate opportunities, internships, and you can explore them, get to know different graduate employers. You get this behind the scenes access to learn more about them, what it's like to work in a role with them, and apply for programs that best fit you. So if you guys are interested, you can also head to gradaustralia.com. You can sign up and then you'll get notifications about any open roles that suit you. And today's session is titled, What to Expect from a Career in Insurance. And we're very lucky to have not one, but two guests who are joining us to give some valuable insights and guidance in this area. So I'm going to introduce them. So first up, we have Madeleine Martin, the National Manager of Insurance and Wealth Management of Fuse Recruitment. And then we have Justin Mark, who is the Head of People and Culture at the Steadfast Group. And yeah, those are our two speakers today. So for today's session, guys, it's going to be quite casual. We've just got a bunch of questions. And then if you guys have any questions at all, this is your opportunity to leave them in the comments. We'll make sure we're, answering all the questions. So definitely leave questions. This is your time to ask to people in the insurance industry, anything that's on your mind. So to start off with, Madeleine, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. As you said, my name's Madeleine Martin and I'm the National Manager of Insurance and Wealth for Fuse Recruitment. So we're a specialist agency with offices in Brisbane, Adelaide, Melbourne and Sydney. And we also run a specialist graduate program called sorry, I've forgotten the name of our graduate program, Future Insure Graduate program, which is focused on placing candidates into the insurance industry and getting them their start.
Awesome, thank you. And I'll pass it over to Justin.
Introduction. My name is Justin Mark. I'm the Head of People and Culture for the Steadfast Group of companies. I've been at Steadfast for about 8.5, almost 9 years now, from the time we listed on the Australian Stock Exchange to where we are today. I've got about 30 years experience in human resources through various industry sectors, but predominantly financial services. Steadfast is a name that you might not recognise because we're a business-to-business business. So we don't have a lot of advertising on free-to-air TV, etc., like some of the big players. But through this talk, I'm hoping to educate you on the scale and size of our business and the benefits of working for an insurance company.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. So we'll get started with some questions then. First question we have is, what are the careers you can have in the insurance industry? So this is probably quite a general one, but feel free to add anything that you guys think is valuable. Justin, would you like to start?
Look, I think it's probably more the question or the comment of what career can't you have in the insurance industry? Obviously, an insurance company is the same as every other business. So we have standard sets of functional jobs, which is like human resources, marketing, finance, etc., those kinds of jobs. But an insurance career, if you want to take a technical pathway, you could do anything from insurance broking out at the coalface, meeting clients, to actuarial if you're more interested in the analytical side, or even if you've got a legal slant or interest in legals, you can do policy work, underwriting, or even customer service if that's your flair, if you've got a natural flair for wanting to please and serve people, customer service. I think the exciting thing is you can actually have a whole career in the insurance industry doing something different every couple of years, and that career can actually take you anywhere in the globe.
Awesome, thank you. Madeleine?
I'm sure Madeleine's got Equally good story.
You covered a lot of the ones that I was thinking of. Probably the only other things I could add in there are possibly careers in claims is another big part of the insurance industry, and something that is very topical at the moment with a lot of recent catastrophes. So the claims area is very busy and there's a lot of opportunity there. And I guess further to the broking and underwriting, there's also a lot of business development opportunities and sales opportunities in there. But like Justin said, it is almost unlimited at the moment as to what you can do with insurance. It's such a big industry. So really, if there's something that you're interested in, you can do it within insurance, like marketing, finance, admin. It's a huge industry.
Awesome. So I think touching off that, it's a really big industry. Is it quite easy to say you're trying out one thing and you find it's not for you? Is it like you're in sales and you want to head over to marketing? Is it quite easy to move into different careers within the insurance industry? Madeleine, did you want to answer that one?
Yeah, I think we've seen a lot of people that come to us who are working in one part of the industry, but really interested in trying out another part. So going from the broking side to the underwriting side. I think once you develop that technical insurance ability, it's really easy to take that and kind of change path a little bit and explore different avenues. So we certainly see that a lot in our roles at Fuse Recruitment.
Awesome. Justin, did you have anything to add to that one?
Yeah, look, I totally agree with you. Once you get your feet under the table in the insurance industry and you start to learn the basics and then build upon that competency of knowledge to a more technical level, that's your base foundation for the career in insurance. And that then allows you to move within the business that you're in or with intra-business to build that career that you want. So, yeah, get your foot in, and then your feet under the table, build that technical knowledge, and then it can take you almost anywhere. And also don't forget that your natural abilities will also help guide you in those career paths.
Awesome. Okay, and kind of leading on to that, what about career progression? What can someone expect with career progression in the insurance industry? I'll let Justin take that one first.
Oh, look, progression is an interesting one. Different career streams flow at a different pace. Also, people's ambition of how far they wish to push themselves in their career has a lot to do with it as well. I see a lot of people progressing pretty quickly through the insurance broking side of the business, particularly because there's a high degree of relationship management skills combined with technical knowledge. Some other areas like underwriting actually take a lot longer to build that fundamental or detailed knowledge that you need to progress up the underwriting career path. It's a really skilled and very precise piece of the insurance industry. So it just takes a bit longer. However, like every other industry, you go in on a grad program if that's your chosen career path into a business, and then you prove yourself, and it can be quite rapid.
And I guess, sorry, the thing that I like about the progression in the insurance industry is that in a lot of the areas it's quite defined, which is good, particularly if you're coming in as a at the graduate level. So like Justin mentioned, there's a lot of progression opportunities in insurance broking, but it's really easy to kind of see what that path is almost from the day you walk through the door. Yes. So there are very defined levels within a lot of these different parts of the insurance industry. So you can kind of almost set yourself, a 5 to 10 year plan on the day you walk through the door, because you can see those opportunities that lie ahead, which is really nice. And it makes it really good for us when we're talking to graduates. We can give them an indication of, with a bit of hard work and dedication, where they'll end up in these roles, which is good too.
Yeah.
Awesome. And Madeleine, another thing I want to ask you is actually with the Future Insure Graduate program, how does that fit in with career progression? What can anyone who goes into that expect?
Well, it's pretty exciting. We've been running the program for about 4 years now. So we're starting to see that progression coming from the original graduates that entered the program 4 years ago. So if we were to say that they were going into a broking business, then obviously the graduate role is the entry level role. They get in there, they start to observe the people around them, learn. They generally get their hands dirty with a fair bit of administration and processing work in helping the brokers meet their policy renewal dates, and just ensuring that the clients are well looked after from an admin perspective. And from there, usually the next step is an assistant account executive role, which again is a supporting function, but you'll get a little bit more exposure to clients and start to build your technical knowledge. And from there, there's just kind of layer after layer. So account executive, account manager, and working on the insurer side is quite similar in that you go in an admin-based role, you might move into an assistant underwriter role, and it's just, it's like I say, it's quite defined, and our graduates are certainly experiencing that. And we have some graduates now that started 3 or 4 years ago, like I said, who are now account executives. They have their own portfolios of clients. They're very well regarded in the industry after 3 to 4 years. So it's actually quite nice to watch them progress through those businesses over the years.
That's awesome. And Justin, what about the Steadfast Group? What is it like for graduates going into there?
Well, look, our graduate program is very bespoke, where we actually design the program around the individual. So we actually give the person a choice of what part of the business they work in, depending on their interest and degree. That differentiates our program from many others. But what we try to do is we actually try to equip our graduates with a fundamental base knowledge of the insurance industry. So we actually have a high-paced rotation program where you spend 3 months in different areas of the business, and after 12 months, you then go into a position of, how would I put it? We actually broker you out to the different areas of the business, and the individual actually gets to negotiate their permanent role going forward post the program. But we put people through underwriting. We send people to one of our brokerages. We put people in reinsurance, and of course their career, their placement of choice. And so they get a really good understanding of the fundamentals of insurance from different angles. And the benefit of that is if they like a rotation, they can always go back and explore a permanent career down that particular section of the business. And on the other side, if they didn't particularly find one of the rotations interesting, they know they won't be in it longer than 3 months. So that's the differential of our program. And we were really happy to be HR Magazine graduate career, graduate program of the year for 2021. So a runner-up, I should say, runner-up. We were a finalist. So our careers will take you many places, and you'll come out at the end with a really good fundamental knowledge of insurance, and that's our end goal.
Awesome. That's awesome. Awesome to hear. Both the graduate program sounds very beneficial to grads. I think leading into that, for someone who is it challenging for people who don't come from the typical business or finance degree to get into the insurance industry? Is that something that is a prerequisite, or how can someone with an alternative degree get into the insurance industry? Justin, would you like to start with that one?
Really, the insurance industry is about people, and any degree is relevant. We have a growing need for engineering degrees, particularly when it comes to assessing risk and risk management divisions. One of my favourite graduate interviews of all time was actually with someone doing a sociology degree about, and we had a discussion on the impacts of insurance on society in general. As the Steadfast Graduate Program is open to any degree, and as a result, we have a philosophy that anyone, regardless of what they've studied in their background, can have a really good and meaningful career in insurance.
Awesome. And Madeleine, what about the Future Insure Graduate Program?
We have a similar philosophy. So we take people with a range of different degrees into the program, and we've seen success across the board, away from the standard sort of commerce and finance degrees that generally are attracted to the insurance industry. But we have one client in particular in Sydney who had some success with somebody with a science degree, and they've actually found that the people with that science background line up really well with the type of work in their graduate positions. So they actually come to us now looking specifically for people from a science background. So it's interesting, like Justin said, pretty much it's a people business. So all of these things are quite complementary to the industry. And I think further to that as well, even people that don't have degrees, young people that haven't been to university that really want to get into the industry, there's opportunities there as well for people who, are happy to start in the customer service roles in the big insurers. And, those opportunities quite often lead into long-term insurance careers as well. It's a bit of an industry that people fall into. So not too many people grow up saying that they want to work in insurance. So it takes people from all walks of life, which is great.
Yeah, I just to reiterate what Madeleine just said, you don't necessarily need a degree to have a really rewarding and successful and elevated career in insurance. TAFE qualifications or even HSC qualifications really quite appropriate. And people, once we go back to what are the skills, you'll learn the insurance skills. You can't learn some of the insurance skills in a straight commerce degree. So yeah, it comes back to the person and their drive to want to make a success of it.
That's interesting. I'd love to hear what you think, what you class as insurance skills, Justin.
Do you know every business has a different culture, but every person that I meet, and we're a unique business in regards to we deal a lot with a lot of people from almost every large insurance company in this country. And everyone we meet from that peer group, they're actually really good people. So it is your emotional intelligence. It is a career where outcome, the ability to deliver an outcome in any job is really highly valued. But I come back to these sort of soft skills. It's teamwork. It's collaboration, it's ownership of a problem or a task. There's a high degree of integrity in the business. And that's particularly come about as a result of the Hayne Royal Commission 3 years ago, where they went through the insurance industry and they made some recommendations. So obviously the banks were high profile in regards to what happened to the banks in the Hayne Royal Commission. The insurance companies also stood up and took notice. So there's a great deal of focus on the behaviours and what it's like to work in our industry, mixed up with integrity, relationship management, etc. So, yeah, if you're a good person, you'll have a good career.
Awesome. Madeleine, is there any other kind of skills or qualities about a person that you think is important?
No, I agree with Justin. I think it's a very people-focused business. So I think that those really good soft skills are the thing that get you ahead in insurance. And we have people coming to us all the time from really different backgrounds saying that it's something that they're interested in, and it is a really inviting industry. They will look at people from all different backgrounds because I think a lot of different career paths lend themselves well to the insurance industry. But we had somebody only about 2 weeks ago that reached out to us who had been a secondary school teacher, and they were interested in leaving teaching and had a specific interest in getting into the insurance industry, and we found them a role in broking, and the clients were really happy to consider them. So it's a hard thing to put your finger on to say exactly what skills you need to bring to the table, because I think it's a really open kind of industry that will consider people from all walks of life.
And that's a beautiful example of a teacher, because part of insurance broking, one of the skill sets of a really good insurance broker is to educate the client on the insurance product that they're actually paying for. So it's really complementary. That's a really good example.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, let's jump over to the next question. We've got how to make the most out of your graduate position. Any suggestions, Madeleine, on what grads can do to make the most out of it?
Sure. I think some of the things that we suggest to the graduates in our program is that they immerse themselves in the industry as much as possible. There's some really good organisations and associations out there in the insurance industry. Our graduates, we quite often suggest that they get in touch with their local young insurance professionals network and join that network so that they can go to events with people at the same kind of stage of their career as them. You know, they get together and talk about the industry and form those networks that will take them into a long-term career in the industry, and they'll build lifelong friendships. I think having peers that are at the same level and understand kind of where you're at really helps to cement a long-term career. We also suggest to grads that if there are opportunities to be involved in project work or working groups within the organisation that they join, that they should definitely put their hand up to do that. It's just an opportunity to give back a little something more to the business that they work in, and also probably helps them stand out from the bunch a little bit and just show that extra kind of determination to build a career.
Justin, did you have anything to add?
Yeah, I echo those comments. I always say, a graduate position or any job is actually a real privilege to have. And companies, not just my company, but companies across the board, invest a lot of money and time and senior resources to choose the best graduates that they believe for their business. So in one way, it's take the opportunity with both hands and grab it and get the most out of the graduate opportunity that you can possibly have. And there's two pieces of advice around this. One is the fact that because the company's invested in you, you're actually in quite a high profile role in those businesses, and people look at you. And so therefore, if you're not performing at the best of your game in a graduate role, particularly a graduate role, people will make a judgment. So you need to be conscious in a graduate position that it's an elite position in the graduate world, and to make sure you try to perform the best. The other part of that is have a genuine interest in other areas of the business, not just the area you're in. So seek those opportunities to stick your head up above the petition if you're in an office and look at what's happening in other parts of the business, and see if you can also get involved, whether socially or on a project that is outside your current realm. That shows senior leadership particularly, and the graduate recruitment team, that you're interested in more than what you're actually just doing on a day-to-day basis. So yeah, they're just two tips and things that I would recommend.
Awesome. Was there any other things that you guys had seen, graduates do that really stood out to you and was like, wow, that's a great graduate who's doing a lot of really good things? Any small little tips or suggestions, even, really insignificant or tiny ones that you can think of? Madeleine, would you like to start with that one?
Yeah, sure. Probably not necessarily from the insurance industry, but we take graduates into our business at Fuse Recruitment as well. And I think the thing that always stands out to me with a graduate in my team is when they make suggestions or they see opportunities for improvements. They come in with all these great, fresh, new approaches to doing business, and some of us have been doing this for a really long time. So I'm always really open to graduates that come in and say, oh, have you thought about this? Particularly when it comes to technology and those types of things, they can be very insightful and very valuable and just have a fresh way of looking at things. So I would always urge graduates to put their hand up and say something if they see that there's something that can be improved upon or they have an idea. I think that we get some of our really, really strong ideas out of our graduates and our newest recruitment consultants into the business. So put your hand up and say something if you think you've got something valuable to add.
Great. Justin, anything to add?
Look, along those same lines, at our business actually last week, we had a session for all of our employees who are under the age of 30 with the CEO and the COO. And the topic was, what do we need to do to make this an even better place to work? And so we had all of our previous cohorts of all of our previous grads all in the room who were still under 30. And they put forward these ideas that are fantastic. And I think this is what Sometimes more mature people in any business can find it threatening to have new ideas put forward. But if you don't put the ideas forward, you will never know how things can be done better or more efficiently. So definitely be inquisitive, understand why things are the way they are. And then if you provide a solution or an idea that can improve that for the business, that's fantastic.
Awesome. Yes, I think it can be really intimidating for people, especially when they're coming into a grad role, they're starting out for the first time. They don't want to suggest something that might sound stupid, but you've got to just start doing that. Otherwise, how can you stand out? How can you show that you're really, enthusiastic and you're not just like sitting back, kind of just accepting whatever happens? I think it shows that, you're trying to make a difference, which is really good.
Exactly. And that's why the need to be inquisitive. Actually understand the status quo before you try to change the world. At least that way you've got a platform to go off.
Exactly. Just speak up. Okay, let's get a little bit specific. So I think, can we talk about what are the different insurance sectors and what they can expect as well? So we'll try to get specific. If there's anything you guys can think of that you can mention about the different ones, that'd be awesome. Justin, would you like to start that one?
Sure. There's so many different insurance sectors. It's like where to start.
Yeah. Maybe let's stick to the top ones. The ones that you would like top 5 in your opinion.
Okay, so top 5 in my business would actually be quite different to top 5 in other insurance businesses.
That's totally fine.
As we are an insurance broker network and underwriting business. So for us, top 5 career sectors would be insurance broking for us. And insurance broking is a really, really interesting and intriguing, but yet highly rewarding sector of the insurance business. If you've done commerce or a business-related degree, or you just have a genuine interest in how businesses run and not just how they run, what are the impacts on different businesses? You can get that need for knowledge and also be able to service that business and be intellectually challenged through insurance broking. As Madeleine said before, you start in a career path where you might be a broking assistant, an account executive, and then you become account manager, and you work your way up to either a principal broker who is in charge of their own business, or maybe an account director. But on any one day, when you're dealing face-to-face with the clients, you might be faced with, how do I provide insurance to a cherry farm out at Young versus how do I provide insurance to a manufacturing factory in Dubbo versus I've got an office or a shop, even a shop front in the main strip of that area. And the different insurances required for each one of those businesses. And it's not just about equipment, it's about loss, you can insure loss of earnings, etc. So it's a really niche part, but it's an important part of the overall insurance business in this country. I find it absolutely fascinating, and the insurance brokers that I know are really good. So really, really good part of the business. So Madeleine, would you like to have a go?
It's really hard to know where to start. So I think we're focusing probably because Justin and I focus mostly on general insurance here, but obviously the insurance industry also covers your life insurance, workers' compensation, health insurance. It's just a huge beast. But I was sort of thinking much along the same lines as Justin in that within the general insurance sector, you can break that down into so many different areas. There's the parts that most people attending this webinar will be familiar with, car insurance and your home insurance. But like Justin said, then there's business insurance and there's there's liability, there's medical malpractice. There's just it's such a big industry, so it's hard to actually pick out, I guess, the key areas. But I think for us, like I mentioned before, one of the big areas that we've had a focus on over the last 12 months has been within that claims and loss adjusting space. So it unfortunately, that part of the industry really, or all parts of the industry really, get busy when there's been events or catastrophes. So, it's a part of the industry that's really important. Getting those claims processed quickly is, it's fundamental for the people that are taking out the insurance to get what they need from it. So there's a lot of career paths in claims at the moment because there's been an increase of claims, and we're seeing a lot of opportunities pop up there. So that's another really good part of the industry to build a career in. And we're seeing, also seeing huge salaries in that part of the industry as well. Once you get to that senior loss adjusting level, it's a really lucrative and great career path for people to go into.
Yeah, that actually is a really good conversation starter, because that natural catastrophe actually flows on to reinsurance, and the reinsurance sector is probably one of the most top gun, if you could use a term, sections of the insurance industry, where very, very interesting work, international work, quite often, where you're dealing with overseas insurers trying to spread risk amongst insurance businesses. And I'm not sure if everyone understands what reinsurance is. So if you can give me 30 seconds, I'll explain reinsurance very, very simply. Let's say, for example, AIG insures 1,000 homes in North Queensland. They're all subject to tropical cyclones and tropical cyclone damage. So it costs a lot of money to insure those 1,000 homes. AIG might not be able to pay out that all of those claims if they were to all happen at once, because it's just too much. They then look to spread that risk of paying it out, and so they may then try and broker a deal where they get 10 different overseas insurance companies to insure 10 different bits of that overall book of business. So if the tropical cyclone did hit and it did take out all of those houses, the risk on AIG is minimized because there's 10 businesses around the world that each pay a bit of that overall premium and repair bill. So reinsurance is a really fascinating part of the business. It's probably one of the oldest parts of the insurance business. There's a lot of travel involved for people at the senior end of that. And for example, Steadfast sends a team of individuals to the Bahamas every year for about a month, where all the reinsurers around the world get together and underwrite books. It's a very unusual process where people all get together in the one location and do that. So yeah, it's a fascinating area.
Super interesting, Tia. Thanks for the explanation of reinsurance as well. That was very interesting. To any viewers as well, if you guys have any comments, feel free to pop them in the comments so we can also answer any questions you may have. Just like talking about what you mentioned before, Madeleine, and you as well, Justin, it's such a big industry. There's health, car, house insurance, so many different areas of insurance. Do you have any suggestions or tips or advice on how someone wanting to get into the insurance industry can figure out which part of the industry would suit them? Madeleine, did you want to start off with that one?
Yeah, sure. I think what we try to do quite often with graduates is get a bit of an idea for their interests and try to see how we can line that up with a specific type of graduate role. So we have clients that specialize in insurance just for just about anything that you can imagine. So we have clients that do really high-end premium motor insurance. So if you get somebody that comes along that really likes nice cars, that's a great path for them to go down, because it's an area of interest for them, but also they can build a really good career. I've been speaking with some brokers recently who specialize in insurance for startup companies, and particularly fintech companies. So they're kind of building an environment that's like insurance, but it's got that techie startup sort of vibe to it that really interests some people. So I think for every person and their interests, there's almost an opportunity in insurance that can line up quite well with that. We have people who have had marine careers, going into loss adjusting in the marine space. So really, with our graduates, it's got a lot to do with their interests, and then I suppose their personality style, and whether they want to go into that client-facing sales role, or if they want to be in a more analytical, behind the scenes, potentially underwriting role. So, but we can match the opportunities quite well with the individuals and their interests. And then just to go maybe further from that as well, we'd also ask that they have a look at the types of companies that we're working with, and their values and their purpose, and just see whether they can get that alignment there as well. Because I think if you're looking for a long-term career, obviously finding a company that has a philosophy that matches yours, it's likely to be a better fit and last a lot longer.
Yeah, definitely. Justin, anything to add?
Yeah, look, if I was sitting in the shoes of the people who we're talking to today, firstly, I think you've got a really great resource in the Prospel website itself. All of the businesses that are on Prospel and Grad Australia, we've got, and they've put in a whole bunch of information about what the day in the life is like, what the company is like, etc. So you've got a great resource. I'd be doing some data mining there first and saying, well, what does it look like to work at a big insurer like a QBE versus maybe a small insurance broker, etc., and try and determine just from what you see and observe that you like. Secondly, I'd be talking to companies like Careers in Insurance, which is a specific sector of ANZIIF, which is the Australian New Zealand Insurance Federation, and that's a governing body of insurance in this country. And they're doing a lot of road shows with all the university open days, etc., and careers days. So go along, talk to those people at the careers fairs, etc., and then try and marry up what you like doing in a job versus what you've seen. And if I would guarantee that if you were to email any careers inbox at any of the insurers and say, can I speak to someone about what it's like in that company, or what it's like to be a underwriter or a broker, people would pick up the phone and give you a call. It comes back to the people in this industry, which are actually really good quality people.
Really cool. And there was something you touched on as well that I would like to follow up on. So you mentioned like small insurance brokers and then big insurance brokers.
Yeah.
What are the differences between the two? Like, is there, differences in the way things are run? Can you expect different team culture, things like that?
Yeah, look, a really, really good question. Steadfast actually represents in excess of 300 independent insurance brokers across Australia and New Zealand. We have in our business insurance brokers that have 200 people working in them, and they're very big and successful. And we also have insurance brokers that have 2 to 5 people working in them, and they might be a family-run business. Like anything, I always say, what are the features and benefits? It's like going and buying a new iPhone. What are the features and benefits of an iPhone? And if you're thinking of a career, what are the features and benefits of working for a big company? And you think of big companies, they require more structure because there's more things to organize, etc. They might be very hierarchical versus a small company, which may actually be looser operating styles, maybe more friendly, etc. So there's a couple things, the difference between a big and a small one. It's really the size and scale of the clients that they're dealing with, because although insurance brokers generally are an end-to-end business, you've also got insurance broking at the big insurance houses, the AIGs, the QBEs, and they look after corporate insurance broking. And they're doing tens of millions of dollars in a single insurance premium to insure other big businesses around the country. So insurance broking, you can do it as part of a big business, but you can also do it as a mum and dad or 2 best friends or whoever it might be business as well. And it's chalk and cheese between the two.
Wow, super interesting. Okay, let's go on to another question. talk about, let's talk about what additional training can you get in the field. So once they're into like a graduate position, or even, past the graduate position, is there a lot of, frequent training or courses people can get access to? Madeleine, would you like to start with that?
Yeah, sure. There's heaps of training. So initially, when people join the industry, we find most of our graduates within the first 12 months will start either their tier 1 or tier 2 in general insurance or insurance broking, depending on which side they decide to work in. So, that's an on-the-job kind of qualification that they need to complete, ideally as soon as possible, just so that they are covered for giving general advice to clients. So that is usually a minimum standard required for a lot of the roles in insurance. So they will find that they do that. But then there's also just a lot of professional development in the industry as well. So if you're working in a broking business, you might have the underwriters might run professional development days, and you can go out and do some training and upskilling on, the changes to their products or new products that they're introducing. Like Justin mentioned, ANZIF is, an industry body that offers a lot of training and development back to the industry. So depending on the area that you work in, the training might be slightly different, but there will always be opportunities to upskill and continue to build on those qualifications.
Yeah, I agree. The training offering differs from business to business. And I come back to, once again, if you're on a graduate program that the business has invested in, chances are that's a future leaders program. So you can also expect some in-depth leadership training along the way there. I know we do it. We inject our graduates within the first quarter of their employment into our leadership pathway training. Of course, you're going to have compliance training. Every business has compliance training. Usually that's online and you can knock that over pretty quickly. But from an industry perspective, there's the ANZIF qualifications that you must have before you can provide general insurance, and you can expect to get that almost immediately before when you walk through the door. There's also, every other kind of specialist training that you need, which is available through most of your corporate HR or learning and development teams if you need upskilling in Word or Excel or PowerPoint, depending on what your particular job requires.
Okay, awesome. Super interesting. Yeah, I think it's great when there's, graduate programs, or even just once you're in the company, there's just access to so many different professional upskilling and courses. It's just so beneficial.
Well, many organisations now have things like LinkedIn Learning, so it's quite common, and it's actually an expectation that everyone can have on-demand learning, whether it's required for your job or not. You can access an entire myriad of learning, even if it's just for your interest. So, most businesses will have those kinds of things available to you, including learning teams. And if you're on a graduate program, you would expect an individual learning pathway.
Definitely. I think most businesses nowadays as well, if you're interested in something completely different and you just want to get a feel alone, you can easily shadow someone or ask to, and they're usually quite open to it as well.
Yeah.
Okay, just going through the rest of the questions. We have... Okay, this one might touch on some things we mentioned before, but if there was a checklist that you can put together to assess whether a career in insurance is right for someone, what would that checklist be? For any students, grads out there trying to tick off boxes to see if they should go into insurance, what would you say are the things on that checklist? I'll say, Justin, would you like to start with that one?
Yeah, certainly. I think if you like dealing with people and you like to work with people, that's the first ticker box. If you don't enjoy that, there's still roles and there's still careers in insurance. But as I've come back again and again, it's about the people in the insurance industry, which really differentiates it from other industries I've worked in. Insurance is a really trusted part of our business sector. And so ethics and trust and the ability to build trust with people is very, very important. not just in day-to-day jobs, but with clients and customers and colleagues, etc. Ethics, of course, I've mentioned the Hayne Royal Commission before, is really important, as is look, a general desire to protect people, and that's quite an honourable thing. Insurance protects people in their most vulnerable times of their lives and their business lives. And if you don't care about people and you don't care about protecting them, maybe insurance isn't the industry for you. But it's actually really honourable in my view. The last thing which I do, and I actually make sure we do this with all of our graduates, and we call it the Flight to Perth test. And if I could imagine myself sitting on a flight from Sydney to Perth and having an engaging conversation with that individual, you'd be in. You know, because it's a lot about personality and the ability just to get on with people.
Very interesting. Madeleine, did you have anything to add to that?
No, but I do like that test. I will. I might have to apply that in the future. But no, I think it's exactly right, isn't it? You know, these people need to be able to build connections with people, and I do think that there is, as much as insurance kind of falls under the banner of the financial services sector, I do think that there is a slightly touchy-feely aspect to it, in that, you know, it is about helping people and, like Justin said, protecting them. So you know, I think that it's a job that people can do, and a career that they can have and feel really proud of the work that they do, and, you know, go home at night knowing that they've helped people, and you get faced with a whole lot of different situations in insurance and stories that are quite devastating. But the thing that you can do as somebody working in insurance is take the edge off those situations and provide some comfort during those times. So I think it's a really lovely industry to be involved in. So you know, I think that the person would have to have that caring aspect to their personality on the checklist to be really successful. And I think some of the most successful people that I've seen in the industry have been genuinely very caring and passionate people that really love what they do.
Yeah.
Awesome. Do both of you think that, you know, we've mentioned like communication, caring, all those kind of things. Do you think that's something that can be learned, or is that something that they have to have naturally beforehand before they can go into the industry? Have you ever seen anyone, you know, come in with poor communication skills or people skills and be able to, you know, really improve it and turn it all around? Justin, would you like to take that? Seems like you have an answer to that.
Yeah. Look, it's a really interesting thing, because I think people can learn that. And graduates are really very early in their life still, and they're still, you know, many of them are still figuring out who they are, etc. So they're learning about themselves, and it's learning how to be empathetic. It's learning how to care for others, etc. So I fully believe anyone can learn these skills and ability. You don't have to have it embedded. But this comes back to, for a successful career, I'd need to be able to identify that the person wants to do that and can do that.
Awesome. Madeleine, anything to add to that?
No, I agree. I think, you know, provided that the foundation is there, I think, you know, we don't expect the graduates to come in with all of the skills already built. You know, that's part of the process of going through a graduate role. So as long as they've got the desire to succeed and to learn and grow, then I think that they can build those skills along the way.
Yeah.
Awesome. We are sort of slowly wrapping up, so we've got about 2 more questions I'd like to ask both of you. First one is, what advice do you have for grads to stand out when applying to your organization in specific? So Justin, would you like to start with that one?
Look, I would say be yourself, but be enthusiastic. Quite often I see videos of graduates and they're telling me everything I need to know, but there's no passion, or I can't pick that up in what they're saying and how they're saying it. I'm really interested, and Steadfast is really interested in the whole person. So we actually want to know more about you than your qualifications of what you studied, etc. We actually want to know the whole of you. So be prepared to share. I realize there's a lot of material and a lot of talk around only say what's applicable to the job. But really, when you're going into a grad program, they're not just recruiting skills, they're recruiting the whole person. So you're going to need to be prepared to talk about the whole person. So yeah, those things stand out for me.
Yeah, I agree with Justin. It's funny that you mentioned the video aspect, but part of the entry to the Future Insure Graduate program as well is to complete a short video introducing yourself and answering a couple of quick questions. And I think similarly, the graduates who open up a little bit and, you know, give a little bit of information about themselves tend to stand out and demonstrate those qualities that we're looking for in graduates to come into the program. So I always really enjoy this. If there's ever something slightly quirky that comes up in those videos that makes that person stand out, we always kind of really enjoy that. So you know, it's hard and it's nerve-wracking as well. So sometimes it's easier just to come in and read your answers and be very scripted. But if you can kind of get with it, loosen up a little bit, and really show your personality, I think that really lends itself well to a career in insurance.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. So I have put, for anyone watching, I have put the links to, you know, check out Steadfast, Fuse Recruitment, and also the Future Insure Graduate program. I put them in the comments, but they've also been on the screen. So make sure you go and check out those graduate profiles as well. They all have a bunch of information. So if you feel like you didn't get all your questions answered today, or, you know, you want to see like a little bit more, there's a lot of information we have. It's really like the best place to start when you're trying to figure out whether, you know, a certain organization or grad program is right for you. So I'll just continue adding those into the video comments and then also on the video screen. So just take a look at those. The last question I wanted to ask both of you is a bit more of a personal one, which is just if you could think back to when you first started your career, is there anything, you know, specific to the insurance industry or just specific to, you know, becoming an adult and going into the real world and working, you know, a proper job? Is there anything that you would like to pass on to, you know, any students and grads who are just entering the workforce for the first time? Any bits of knowledge that you wish you had known? Justin, I'll let you start with that one.
God, it was a long, long time ago when I entered the workforce. My first job, not to give you the life history, was actually my parents moved to Perth and I was forced to move out of home between finishing my HSC and Christmas of that year. So I went straight from HSC straight into working, and I worked as an office junior and company courier because email had only just been invented. So we had to pick up things and carry them across town all the time. When you're entering the workforce, it's so different to school. School is fantastic. If you miss a lecture, it's not the end of the world. But if you go missing at work, people start to ask questions, etc., etc. So it's about bringing your A game. It's about being there on time, ready to work, you know, when you're supposed to be there. That comment, by the way, is now a little bit outdated because we're choosing now more where and when we work and how we work. So there's an evolution of working style in the insurance industry at present. But it is about being inquisitive. It is about bringing your true self to work. And if you're a team-orientated player, really showing that, trying your hardest at everything you do. If you get stuck, don't procrastinate. Ask your boss or ask a colleague about it, because that's the best way to learn. It's also the best way to keep your job moving if you're stuck on something, and that's regardless of any job. Finally, I just think importantly, you'll have this really, really successful career and you'll enjoy your day-to-day job more if you like what you're doing and you like the people you work with. And if you're engaged in it, and that is meaning you're emotionally connected, you will go much further in your career, and you'll have a much happier time doing that. So, yeah, love what you do, love the people that you do it with.
Awesome. Thanks, Justin. I think so many things are so true. Ask questions. Worst thing is when you just sat there and you've wasted a couple hours just because you were too scared to ask, and then you don't make progress. You feel bad. You can't deliver. So a lot of really great points there. Thanks for all that info and advice. Madeleine, is there any advice you'd like to give to the young people, the graduates and the students?
I think probably just, make the most of the opportunity. Put your hand up, get involved. I'm a naturally introverted person, so when I was starting out, I had to really step outside my comfort zone quite regularly to get involved in extra things that I wasn't naturally excited to do. But I think those are the things, those extra steps and getting involved really took my career to the next level. So I think always put your hand up, always be available, and try new things at work and see where that takes you.
Awesome. Thanks so much, guys. It's been a really great webinar. I feel like we've gone through a bunch of really, helpful information for, any grads and students. So we'll start to wrap up. So guys, I have put, the links to the Future Insure Graduate program on the screen, and also the Steadfast Group and Fuse Recruitment. So if you don't see it on the screen, just check the description or the comments from the YouTube, Facebook, or LinkedIn video, whatever you're watching, and you'll be able to check out the career profiles and see any open, graduate programs and whatnot. So yeah, thanks so much, guys, for joining today. Bunch of really valuable insights. I think it's really great, being able to have students listen to you guys and get your perspective as well, having been in the industry for quite a while now as well. So for anyone who is interested in applying for some jobs with Steadfast Future Insure Graduate Program or Fuse Recruitment, make sure you go and set up your Grad Australia profile, and then you can apply to jobs. You'll also get notified of any other open jobs that we think would be beneficial for you to check out. And if you're interested in attending any more of our webinars, then make sure you go and check out gradaustralia.com. We have it'll be like the first thing you see on Grad Australia. It's called CareerTalk webinars. You click that, there'll be a bunch of webinars that you can see for, every single month that will come up. And there may not be something for you, for the next couple webinars, but if you know people, in like the business, property, construction, we have so many different topics coming up. So make sure you go and check them out and send them to your friends who are in other industries. So before we wrap up, I would just like to say thanks again to Madeleine and Justin for coming on. It's been super valuable to have you guys. And that's all for today. So, make sure anyone who's watching, follow us on our socials at Grad Australia. We are on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, LinkedIn, pretty much everything, YouTube. So there's a bunch of things. We've got constant career advice, a lot of webinars, and just a bunch of valuable things that are really going to help you kickstart your career. So that is the end of today's Career Talk session. And my name's Emily, and I will see you guys in the next one. So thank you so much. And bye, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.